some of those. First, the non-aggression principle. Neither individuals nor government should use force or the threat of force to impose their will on others or harm another person or their property. But you have the right to use force in your own self-defense. The second is absolute property rights. And the most absolute of those rights is that you own your own body and have the natural right to control what you do with your own body as long as you do not harm another person or their property. Finally, free markets. The free market, one without any government intervention, provides the optimal mix of solutions for providing goods and services. Therefore, neither the actions of individuals or consensual acts between individuals, which cause no direct harm to others, should be prohibited. If there is no victim, there is no crime. Libertarians are for maximizing your personal liberty, economic freedom, and peace. Libertarians encourage individual responsibility while holding those who cause harm to another person with property accountable for their actions. Those who advocate for government laws and regulations often use statistical studies. Those with an agenda can easily get the results they want or spin the results to reach the conclusion they desire. Correlation in a study does not imply causation. For example, a study might show that 99% of those who are alcoholics drank milk as a child. Technically, this is a valid correlation. But does drinking milk as a child lead to alcoholism? Most people would recognize that as a bogus conclusion. There could be many conflating factors, many things which can contribute to changes in the data you're measuring. It can be very difficult to control for the effect of a single change, such as a change in law, when many other things are occurring at the same time. When speaking of alcohol-related traffic accidents, there are many things which can affect the results. For example, in the last 3 decades, there have been improvements to auto design, reducing deaths from accidents. There's better emergency medical services, better trained EMTs, and helicopter lifeflights. You hear them all the time here over the line. Education on the dangers of drunk driving, which encourages designated drivers. Laws that increase the penalties for drunk driving. And there could well be many more. So, just because you have a study, it doesn't necessarily mean that it takes into account everything that is impacting what you are studying for. Almost everyone has an agenda. Some may be altruistic, others may be advancing their career. Whether they are an advocacy group like MAD, work in government, or private industry, almost everyone has an agenda. And all too often, individuals with an agenda are willing to compromise their personal and professional ethics to get the desired results. Some justify this by using the bankrupt philosophy that begins justify the means. When the media, government, or advocacy groups mention statistical studies, please do some critical thinking before accepting the results as fact. Statistical studies should not be used to justify restricting your freedom or liberty, even if the studies are unimpeachable. When I turned 18, I could legally drink in the state of Wisconsin. The federal government passed a law setting the national minimum age to drink to 21 in 1984. As is often the case, the federal government passed a law which would reduce the federal highway funds a state received unless the state passed a law making the purchase or possession of alcohol by those under 21 illegal. This is extortion, forcing Missourians to pass a law in order to get back part of the tax dollars we send to Washington, D.C. Prohibition doesn't work. Alcohol prohibition in the 1920s didn't work, and neither does alcohol prohibition for 18 to 20-year-olds. Those under 21 still consume alcohol, as Bob Hanson mentioned, and the law just changes their behavior. As with most laws and regulations, there are unintended consequences. Prohibition encourages binge drinking. College students call it pregame, where they consume a great deal of alcohol in a short period of time, just before going out to a place where they can't drink socially. It also encourages consumption of hard liquor versus beer or wine. And finally, it results in young adults drinking alcohol at private parties where there's no supervision and things can easily get out of control. Rather than a zero-tolerance policy, families need to introduce their children to alcohol and teach them how to drink socially and responsibly. Education on the perils of drunk driving and abuse of alcohol is the answer, not Finally, if you choose to consume alcohol, please do so responsibly. Drink in moderation. If you go out, have a designated driver, and please make sure you have friends who will look out for you. Thank you.
Well, as you know, 18 to 20-year-olds are not, it's easy for them to get something to drink if they want it. Prohibition doesn't work. But I want to start off with a quote from the Constitution of this state. It says that the constitutional government is intended to promote the general welfare of people, that all persons have a natural right to life, to liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and the enjoyment of the gains of their own industry, that all persons are created equal and are entitled to equal rights and opportunity under the law. That is to give security to things that are the principal office of government, and that when government does not confer this security, it fails in its chief design. And that's the primary motivator for the Missouri 18 to Drink movement, believing that the Missouri Constitution requires that drinking laws should be lowered for all adults for purposes of liberty, whether that means consumption, sale, or the manufacturing of alcohol. We are working on a petition initiative, public initiative to get the drinking age lowered to 18 in the year 2010. And we're prepared to fight that through the courts and through the petitioning process to get that done. But it's important when you consider this clause that you remember that general welfare must include the entirety of this section. The current drinking laws fail to provide equality under the law, and it clearly violates the clause that all persons are created equal. Every time we enforce the drinking age, we violate this section of the Missouri Constitution. We don't believe that the 18 to drink or 21 to drink issue should be a paradox. We believe that equality must rise above discrimination, and that all citizens that are 18 years or older should have the right to consume alcoholic beverages in a responsible fashion. There's a lot of reasons that you should stand opposed to the legal drinking age of 21. First off is, as I mentioned, it's an abridgment of the age of majority. And as anyone who's gone to a football game here knows, it increases binge drinking. People are going out, they're tailgating, and you're going to consume a lot more alcohol than you would in an establishment where there's bartenders that are licensed by the state and are trained to control the amount of alcohol that you're given. So we think that it's better for you to be able to drink in a licensed establishment than consume massively in private residence. Of course, we also believe that the age of 21 takes the parents' right away to raise their children in a responsible fashion and teach and encourage their children to make responsible decisions regarding alcohol. The drinking age of 21 also breeds contempt for the law, and we believe that there should be respect for the law, and allowing 18 to be the age for all issues regarding adulthood is going to bring more respect for the law. It's not that we're just against the drinking age of 21. We're for the lower drinking age because it prevents adolescents from gaining access to alcohol. On college, in high schools, people tend to graduate at 18 and move on to college. So you're going to see that as people move into college, they're obtaining the right to drink, and they're doing so in a responsible fashion because they don't have to hide it from the world. And people that drink socially drink more responsibly. We believe that it protects adolescent and youth adults' brains from the potential negative consequences of alcohol abuse if you're consuming in moderation. And for these reasons, the 18 to Drink Coalition and movement is here to protect your rights to drink at the age of 18. Thanks.